On Friday, a Texas jury unanimously convicted an Army sergeant of killing a protester at a Black Lives Matter demonstration in 2020. Police say Daniel Perry was driving in downtown Austin when he encountered demonstrators in the street and came to a stop. He fatally shot Garrett Foster, one of the protesters, with a handgun. Foster was legally carrying a semi-automatic rifle in the open carry state. And Perry claimed to police that he shot in self-defense. But prosecutors argue that Perry instigated the confrontation. Hours after the guilty verdict, Tucker Carlson went on the air to shame Texas Governor Greg Abbott, calling the verdict a legal atrocity. As Republicans do, Abbott seems to have said, "Sir, yes, sir," to Tucker, saying that he has directed the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles to consider recommending a pardon for Perry, citing the state's stand your ground laws of self-defense. You might recall that Abbott also posted a celebratory tweet when Kyle Rittenhouse, who used his semi-automatic rifle to shoot two men dead after a Black Lives Matter protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin, was declared not guilty. Travis County DA Jose Garza rebuked Abbott's pardon efforts, saying in a statement that a jury gets to decide whether a defendant is guilty or innocent, not the governor. Joining me now is MSNBC senior political analyst Matthew Dowd. And Matthew, this feels like a pattern to me. You have Republicans in multiple states, including Florida, passing and pushing laws that will allow people to hit Black Lives Matter protesters or any protesters they like with their cars. And this was after the Charlottesville murder by car of a white woman who was a Black Lives Matter protester. They seem to have, gotten back into lynching, hanging, all sorts of other sort of draconian 19th century fare. What is going on with Republicans that they seem to be bringing back the lynching vibe?
Well, I mean, I would be surprised if this was an African-American who shot somebody in Austin, Texas, that the governor of Texas would be weighing in saying this person is not guilty and should be pardoned. Matter of fact, he's never done it for anybody except this guy, who, as you laid out, a unanimous jury, a jury of citizens of Travis County unanimously found the guy guilty, which, as you know, for a police officer is very difficult. So the evidence was overwhelming against this guy. To me, this is all is part of it. It's all integrated. This is another attack on our democracy, and I don't think people fully understand what that means. They think attacks on our democracy are only like taking away somebody's vote or what happened on January 6th. This is an attack of a jury, which is in our Constitution in the 7th Amendment, the right to jury trial, that basically takes the power of citizens away to hold anybody accountable. That's what a jury is. It's an integral part of our democracy. The founders put it in our Constitution, and the governor of Texas, instigated, as you know, by Tucker Carlson and Kyle Rittenhouse, who weighed in on this as well, decided that he knows better than 12 average folks sitting in Austin, Texas, to make this decision. Again, it's another attack on our democracy.
Right. And so fascism has many features. And one of them is this sort of lust to be able to harm or kill your political opponents. And it feels like across the board on the right, there is this kind of this sort of lust for that, right? For we need to be able to not let our political opponents vote, but also to hurt them or worse. There was this woman, it was a random sort of, she was a right-wing Twitter person, who tweeted about the horrors of drugs and homelessness in San Francisco and said, maybe if we brought back hanging. In San Francisco, where in 1877, there was literally a mass lynching of Chinese immigrants. That was a thing that actually happened in San Francisco. And for her to sort of channel that, right, and to channel the first woman senator, a white woman who was a former slave owner, who preached about that. We should be lynching more people. So it's like they, maybe because they don't like books and history, maybe they don't know they're channeling that, but they are.
Well, and we've had this conversation, not related to this topic, but we've had a broader conversation of the Christian nationalism that seeped into the GOP, right? All this is related because if you believe that what you're doing is you're divinely inspired, which many of these people think they are, they're divinely inspired. They think that because they're divinely inspired, they have the right over life and death, right? They have that right. If their ideas or in their mind, their truth, let's say their truth is part of some God-given thing they have, then they think, not only do they think they can overrun the institutions and norms of democracy, which they easily do, They can easily decide who lives and dies in this country because that's their divinely given providence that they've decided. It really is all part of the same mode. They think God has told them, in many ways, God has told them they're right. And if God tells them they're right, they can do anything they want.
And you have just very succinctly explained everything from forced birth to this mania for the death penalty to this new wild idea that they ought to be able to kill whoever they perceive as their political and social opponents with impunity. It is a strange time to be alive. Matthew Dowd, always happy to have you here to help explain it. Thank you.